Welcome to Fidelity. My name is Sean Belka, and I lead Fidelity Labs, Fidelity's innovation and new business incubation area. And we are thrilled to host today's event. Boston has all the elements required to have a robust FinTech ecosystem. And if you think about it, we have amazing entrepreneurs like you're going to see today. We have really smart investors like our next speaker, David Jagan. But we also have large companies, many of whom represented here today, who can be the customers or the partners of these FinTech startups. So we are excited for today's event, but we're really excited for the community that's being created here. So with that, no further ado, I'd like to invite my colleague, David Jagan.
Yeah, good afternoon. So I'm David Jagan. My day job is as a partner with F Prime Capital, which is the venture capital arm affiliated with Fidelity Investments, and also co-founder of FinTech Sandbox, along with a number of the members of the founding team who are here. And you saw some of them in the video. You'll see more today. But Bob Bishop, Dinesh Chedda, Sarah Biller, Foss. I'm not sure if Foss is here today. Sean, of course, as well. Ty Danko. Great group. I hope you'll have a chance to meet with all of them. And I can say that collectively, we're all so excited to have our fourth demo day. And I have the opportunity just to share a few more words about FinTech Sandbox and then introduce our first speaker, Adam Broun, who is the COO of Kensho. So I thought I see a lot of familiar faces, but I wanted to do a quick show of hands. How many people are at a FinTech Sandbox event for the first time? Awesome, almost half. It's going to be smaller, but I'm curious, a show of hands for how many people do not reside or live in Boston? Like 10% or so. That's great. It's a nice diversity, and it really reflects the growing diversity of the startups that are presenting today, a combination of New York, San Francisco, New York, Boston as well. So as you heard in the video, we're a nonprofit. I wanted to share just the criteria for getting in, also in the hope that it helps all of you direct startups that could benefit from the sandbox. But we were founded in Boston, but are quickly building communities in 4 other cities, including New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and London. So any startup in one of those 4 cities can apply for access to the data. We have started, and to this date, focused very much on capital markets data. We wanted to really knock that out of the park and do that very well. I think at this point, almost any startup in that space, investment or capital markets, would find something of value in the data sets that we have from our partners. But if you look across the startups that have gone through it, you'll see lending companies, real estate companies, educational companies that clearly have found value as well. We look for seed stage companies, typically have raised some money, an angel round, and have definitely built some product. Which means they understand the pains and the challenge of working with data. And in the limited 6 months that they have access, they can really do something meaningful with it, and it can be a real accelerant to what they're doing. And then finally, as we noted, we don't ask for equity or cash, but we do ask the startups and the entrepreneurs to give back in the way of knowledge, code, content. We have a lot of work to do in that area, but it's an area that we hope over time will be the enduring piece of FinTech Sandbox, a place to go when you have questions about financial data or financial data vendors as well. So if you look around the room, in addition to the two first goals of really access to data and content, you'll see that the third piece is really about community. And we're so happy that everyone's here. It gives me a lot of excitement and energy to see it. And we hope that this mix of entrepreneurs and industry executives, investors, is just a really great opportunity for all of you as well. And the one ask I'd have would be, we've got startups who are going to do a great job today and share their time and their thought process and insights. And if everyone here could just think of one thing as they listen that could help one of the startups and talk with them afterwards or contact them later, that will make this day extremely valuable for the ones that are presenting. So with that, I will introduce Adam Broun of Kensho. Adam, you can walk up in a second, but you are seated in the back. So Kensho may be a company that needs no introduction. I'm not sure. I think it is one of the highest profile companies by name, but at the same time, it's one of the lowest profile companies by product and offering. And that's because they sell into capital markets. They sell on Wall Street. There are very few people in this room will be portfolio managers or analysts that will end up touching their products. And as a consequence, I hear a lot of what is Kensho doing, and I think you will all really enjoy hearing Adam share, the Kensho story, what they do, and how they got there. I met Adam a few years ago, and F Prime is an investor in Kensho. And I met him at a time when he had just teamed up with the 2 co-founders of Kensho, Daniel Nadler and Peter Kruskal. And I watched him step in, and like tremendously shape a product that was very creative, had enormous potential, but was at a point at a seed stage where it could have gone many directions. And I think Adam deserves tremendous credit for tuning that product to Wall Street into a shape and a value that they would pay for, and at this point have some very significant deployments across some of the top Wall Street banks. Adam, before joining Kensho, and I think part of what makes his comments particularly relevant here is he worked for many years in Wall Street with large firms, partly consulting, most years with Credit Suisse. He was a CIO for many years with that bank, and then also an entrepreneur in residence with the FinTech Innovation Lab in New York. So he has many perspectives to share and a great story. So please help me welcome Adam Broun.
Thanks, David. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, good to see you. It's always great to see so much interest, growing interest and energy around the FinTech scene in Boston. There's some great companies. We were watching the dry runs before this. There's some wonderful companies here today. I can't wait to see all of their demos and what they have in store for us. I also just want to thank Gene, David for, first of all, starting the sandbox, and secondly, organizing this event and just continuing to pour so much energy and enthusiasm into the community, and just seeing it blossom and grow is wonderful. I was asked to spend a few minutes sharing a few perspectives on the landscape in general and our experiences at Kensho. If you haven't heard of Kensho, we're a data analytics machine learning company. We deliver solutions, as David said, into capital markets, but increasingly into investment management, into banking, and now also into the defense and intelligence sectors. So yeah, there are some low-key things that we do. For the portfolio managers, you will start to touch our technology soon. I'll talk about that a little bit. We have some exciting new partnerships on our way. We started the team about 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago, in mid-2013, actually around the same time that the FinTech Sandbox was starting up, and we partnered together as one of sort of the early residents in the sandbox, and they gave us some access to early data, and it was very helpful for us. I had been CIO at Credit Suisse, not actually for that long. I spent more time as I was a partner at Deloitte for about 10 years before that, working with investment managers and banks. And it's given me a variety of different perspectives about how institutions are changing, how they buy technology, how they deploy technology, all of the barriers they manage to throw up if you're a small company trying to break into a large firm, and now as helping to grow a company that's selling into that market. When I joined, the team was about 5 people in a kitchen at General Catalyst in Harvard Square. General Catalyst sort of incubated the company and have been fabulous partners. And we've now grown to about 85 people. We have 3 offices in Cambridge, New York, and DC. We're proud to have all 6 of the largest banks in the US as investors and customers of Kensho, as well as the US government. And we just announced a really key strategic partnership with Standard & Poor's, S&P GMI, where we will be co-developing, co-selling our product and using S&P's fantastic data and their reach into the buy side to co-develop some next-generation products together, which we're tremendously excited about. So we've had a good run. We've been able to develop, I think, some good buzz along the way. We've done some media partnerships with people like CNBC and Institutional Investor that has helped people hear about us and put us on the map. And I spend quite a bit of time talking to other startups as well, as an angel investor, but also just to try to help coach and mentor where I can. And what I've done, I have kind of 4 ideas or 4 thoughts that I want to share about, while there isn't a roadmap for success, there's no like magic formula, just a few ideas that I would offer that are maybe a little bit different than what some mentors will tell you. So here we go. First of all, be bold. Or to put it another way, if you're going to fail, fail spectacularly. No one's going to write a case study about you if you had some okay idea that no one ever really heard of, and then you ran out of money and you went back to your old job. Like, that's not going to make a mark on history. But everyone remembers pets.com, at least everyone who's over like 30, right? They failed spectacularly. I'm not saying you should be like pets.com. My point is that if you want a mediocre outcome, execute a mediocre strategy. If you want a great outcome, execute a bold strategy. And you will know one way or another whether that strategy will work. Go after big problems in this industry. Goodness knows there are enough of them. Some of them are kind of deeply buried and you need knowledge of the industry. It is a complex industry, but go after the big problems. By the way, be bold doesn't just apply to startups. It applies to the institutions working with them as well. Look, you all know, talking to the institutions here, you all know you have to make a change. You all know the world is changing. You all know you have to work with companies like us, like the companies who are going to demo here today, to survive in the new world and to profit in the new world. But most institutions will not take a lot of risk in actually doing that. That's the truth. They'd rather torture a startup for a year and a half on an unpaid pilot to see whether it might work, right? And that pretty much guarantees a mediocre outcome. It's also desperately unfair to the entrepreneurs who, let's face it, are taking far more risk than you are in your jobs in actually trying to deliver this thing to you. So my point is, take some risk. You're not going to change a big institution without taking some risk. Have a vision, commit to the vision, put the resources behind it, partner, and be decisive. And I can tell you, there are firms doing that. We've been privileged to work with a couple of them, and they actually can make change happen. But it's not easy, and it takes personal risk as well within the companies you're working at. Second, think about nonlinearity. What do I mean by that? There is a very standard way to build businesses in this industry. It's not a bad way. It says, I have this idea. I think I'm going to sell it to, and this is for people selling to institutions, not so much direct to retail. I have this idea. I'm going to sell it to institutions. I'm going to start with small hedge funds because they can make decisions quickly, and they'll write me a little check, and they'll get me started, and I'll work my way up the food chain. That's fine. That actually works pretty well. But it takes a long time. Great businesses have been built that way. Great businesses. Over decades. Time is your enemy as a startup, and so think about another approach, which is to be nonlinear. Our first client was Goldman Sachs, and we've worked our way from there. It gives you it gives you scale, it gives you legitimacy, it gives you great insight, and it gives you a competitive moat that actually is then very hard for other people to replicate, because so many of the ideas we have, actually somebody else could do them. But if you've got that traction, you've got that legitimacy, it's much harder for someone to replicate. Third thing, think really hard about integration and adoption with your clients. One of the most important decisions that we made at Kensho, that I'm personally very proud of, is that our initial offering to banks required zero integration with bank systems, zero. That meant we could sell directly to the front office. They could see the thing, go, oh, I like that thing. They could start using it. We didn't have to deal with IT. We didn't have to deal with legal. We didn't have to deal with compliance. They could just use the thing. And then they're on your side fighting with legal and IT and compliance. And having run IT personally at a big bank, I was the problem. I was getting in the way of all these things, so I didn't want to deal with me. Once you're there, you can then start, the value gets added as you do integration, but now you've got your client on your side fighting with you to actually get these things done. So think about that. And if you have a business, there are some businesses that really only work with network effect, where you have multiple banks cooperating or multiple institutions cooperating on things. Those are really hard to do. Not because they're not good, not because they're not good solutions, not because they're not needed, but getting two or, God forbid, three institutions to agree on the same big thing at the same time is kind of impossible. Occasionally it works. Market pulled it off. There are a few people who've pulled it off, but it's really difficult to do. So think about other ways that you can drive adoption without that sort of big risk. Okay. Fourth thing, last thing. Raise a lot of money. I know if you read the lean startup books, they'll say, be lean, be hungry, it'll make it. No. If you want to do like a cat video sharing startup, great. Go lean, have a ball, you know, have cheap pizza, whatever. In financial, look, a couple of reasons for that. Selling to institutions will take twice as long as you think. Whatever you think it is, double it, and you'll still be wrong. You will need that cushion. Time is your enemy as a startup. Secondly, having meaningfully sized rounds allows you to get those big partners to make meaningful contributions, which means that they are now meaningfully invested in your success, and the nature of the conversation you have with those partners can change. It's no longer a vendor relationship, which is essentially a zero-sum pricing game. They are now they are invested in your success, and they will help you. So, to summarize, be bold, be nonlinear, think hard about adoption integration, and raise more money than you think. All right, that's enough from me. Gene's going to take it from here. Enjoy the afternoon, enjoy all the great firms, and thank you for your time.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Adam. That was great. All right, very inspiring for everyone that's coming up next, right? All right. I'd like to take a moment to thank our event sponsors, EY, Financial Revolutionists, Quovo, S&P Global Market Intelligence, Xignite, who helped to make this event possible. So thank you to our event sponsors for being here today. So we now have 2 years under our belt. So it was 2 years ago, March, that we actually went live with this idea and this concept. And it's amazing to see what has come of it. The types of solutions that we see. You know, historically, people would think FinTech, they think payments. Now you're thinking institutional investment, you're thinking retail investment, you're thinking, you know, business tools, and all other solutions that are coming up. We're addressing not just the front office, but we're seeing the emergence of middle and back office solutions to really address the full value chain when it comes to financial services. So we're very excited about that as well. We've been able to work with over 70 companies to help accelerate product development now in 2 years. So we're really excited for the solutions that you will see today. Here at the Sandbox, we now have over 2,200 community members who want to help startups by creating countless collisions for our residents, whether it be data partners, advisors, potential customers, and other partners as well. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank our data partners. There is no way this would exist without the commitment of the data partners who provide their products and know-how to the startups to catalyze the development of the FinTech tools that we see. We started the Sandbox with just 7 partners, and now we have 32 partners who are willing to give their services and products. So thank you to our data partners as well. I'd like to take a moment quickly, too, to thank Danielle Duplin of Free Wind Productions, who spends countless hours and has given blood, sweat, and tears to the startups to help them hone their presentations to the spectacular program you're going to witness. We're psyched to have a large Boston contingency presenting today with TELUS Labs, Future Fuel, Virtual Cove, and Elson. The Big Apple is represented with Vetter. And then we have West Coast representation with Alpaca and Stessa. And we hope you will be inspired by the passion about what they have built and how they have been bold. So, all right, what to expect? We do have some newbies here, so this is great. All right, this is our 4th demo day. So the format is we have 5 minutes only, okay, where each startup will give their presentation. And there are 3 things they're trying to do with that 5 minutes: tell you what it is, how it works, and why it matters. In order to make this happen effectively and efficiently, there are embedded video demos. So we don't do live demos. I know some people like live demos, but I'm paranoid, so we make sure we want people to show their best. Now, that does mean that they're choosing certain features to show you, so please, please, please engage with the startups downstairs in the showcase following the event, where you can see everything else that they've built out that you can't do in 5 minutes. There will be no break this year. In the past, we've had a break halfway through, so that will give you more time during the showcase to engage with folks. So hang in there for the ride. It should be fun. And then during the showcase, we also have some alumni you can catch up with: Data Simply, Alpha Hat, Amenity Analytics, VendorMock, and formerly Alpha Pack, who's now known as Sandbox. Nice name. All right. All right. Is everyone still with me? Okay, let's get going. We're very fortunate to have some of our partners to introduce the startups. So let's get started with Harvey Hughes from Financial Revolutionist, who will do our first introduction.